Everybody? Right.
In the room? Yep.
Cool. Welcome everybody to, what's the name of this talk? Path of Shadows. It'll be a bit heavy on improv, but I'm sure you'll all be able to give me a little bit of assistance with that. Just to start with, who here has kind of very recently come to Tarot, who's fairly new, sort of dipping their toes in the water? 1, 2, okay, that's cool. Is there anything you don't understand, feel free to ask. Basically there's no judgment here, and sometimes I'll be using words that might make no sense to even people who know what's going on. So yeah, any questions, we'll do our best to sort of sort those out when we get to it. Today is a slightly unusual talk. I think all of them are pretty unusual, but this one is about the dark side of the tarot, like the shadow side, which is also related to the dark side of the Kabbalistic tree of life, which is kind of like the backdrop of what's going on in tarot. The tarot is kind of like the front end, and the tree of life is basically everything underpinning it. So if you're really interested in tarot, I strongly recommend from a theoretical point of view to go and look at the Kabbalistic stuff, because it kind of underpins it all and brings a lot of extra stuff to it. But I know a lot of people who run purely on intuition. They're like amazing intuitive arrows flying straight to the source, and they have no idea about this tree of life thing. So, you know, it's not essential, but for me it really works as a way of learning. We've all got sorted out into our different suits. The reason for this is during this little journey we're going to go through these hell dimensions. That's what these Qlipoth things are. Another way of thinking of it is like the negative aspects of existence, negative perceptions of the world we live in. And I wanted to see if we could find different suits and their perspectives on what's happening. So like, the souls maybe will adopt a more rational perspective, the cups will maybe go on more into sort of intuitive feeling perspective. You get the idea. And all of them are really important. I thought it'd be nice to get a little bit more focus from each of those 4 camps and see what happens as a result. So the Qlipoth are the tree of life is a system which attempts to map out reality, human experience, in a kind of theoretical framework. I know that will, for a lot of people, kind of shut you down, because it's very kind of maybe scientific, technical talk. In a more creative sort of description, yeah, it's trying to sort of break things down a bit to make it easier to understand. So you've got like 10 different places, which they call the Sephiroth. And these 10 different places or aspects of reality are just different ways of looking at things. And they're linked together in a particular way, and you can sort of navigate around this map called the Tree of Life, and you can sort of see things, how things might start to relate to one another, and you can start to make like revelations about, oh, I never realized, I never thought about things that way, and it can be quite educational as you do that kind of thing. The Qlipoth are what happens when God's light disappears or is absent from one of these places, which for me is a bit of a contradiction, because I'm not entirely sure how God could be completely absent. So the only sense I can make of that kind of claim was if people don't see the light anymore. So you fail to see the meaning in a situation or in a context. So you've still got these different aspects of reality, but the Qlipoth is when, for whatever reason, something has happened and you don't see the point anymore, you don't see the meaning, and it becomes very different. I mean, imagine it's like the party and you're having a good time, and suddenly you feel completely alone in a crowd. You're surrounded by all these faces, nightclub, everything becomes a little garish, lights flashing, loud noise or whatever, and suddenly you're in quite an unpleasant place. And this is like an example of maybe a transition from into like a Qlipoth. You sort of touched on one of these hell dimensions. You've touched on a perspective on reality which is quite unpleasant. And indeed, there are lots of these different aspects, and they can manifest in different ways. And they will be very down to earth. All of us will have experienced these in different ways at different times, because they're part of reality. But the key there is it's about that kind of personal perspective on things. It's when something has changed in you, in your perspective, that makes you feel like that. So we're going to be kind of running through these 10 spheres, these 10 husks, is another way they're described, to try and sort of get a bit more familiarity with that. The language used in these descriptions on the group sheets you've got in front of you is quite creative. It's like, they're talking about demon rulers and monstrous names and all that stuff. It's kind of quite fun. A lot of people, this can be a bit of a turn off. It's like, oh, this is ridiculous. It's like some kind of fantasy novel. It's quite alienating. But the point of this is the kind of language that is often used to describe something which can be quite abstract in a way that attempts to render it as evocative and meaningful without making it something like an essay on a wall that maybe becomes very abstract and people stop feeling that emotional kind of connection. So it's not necessary to say there is literally a physical entity or something or all these little things running around, but it's about starting to understand what's trying to be conveyed by this language. So if the language does not work for you, let me know and I will try to translate it into a different kind of description, maybe a more psychological one, whatever it might be that works for you. The point is, it's about trying to see through the words, which I'm sure all of you are very good at. If we're doing a tarot course, you'll be used to sort of seeing through things to the root of the issue. And hopefully it will be fine for everyone. But if not, let me know and I'll do my best to run with that. So we've got demons and these nicknames for them, and how these nasty thingy bobs do their mojo. And we'll be getting a little bit of a feel for each of them as we go through. And I'm hoping that from each of your different suit affinities, you'll also be able to give some personal revelations or insights into that. Now, as a little cautionary note, this talk is a path of shadows, and we are literally going to be looking into the dark side of reality a bit more. That means that people may well be encountering more uncomfortable memories, things may pop up that might be quite unpleasant. I don't know how far or how deep it will go. I'm just allowing for that kind of capacity in this space. So that means that, obviously confidentiality applies. If anyone needs to sort of exempt themselves from the room for whatever reason, that's absolutely fine. But just to maintain that kind of aura of root connection and appreciation that if you find something silly, someone else might really find it quite impactful. So let's tread a bit more carefully and keep an eye out for each other as we go. Okay. When I started learning tarot, I heard mention things called reversals. And when the cards are inverted, they would have a particular meaning, and often the reversals would have certain negative connotations, maybe. And then I encountered a lot of people said, oh, I don't do reversals, don't touch them. I thought, this is a bit curious, but I wonder why that is. And when I found out a bit more about it, I thought, oh, okay, because these kind of like are negative spins on the cards. People don't want to be kind of throwing around these negative spins because it's kind of putting a dampener on things. You want to be encouraging, you want to promote positivity in people's lives. You don't want to be sort of immediately saying, oh, you've drawn a bad card, because that's obviously going to have a pretty bad effect on people. But this is when we link up the Qlipoth with the cards.
But they're not necessarily negative anyway.
No.
Reversal, so, yeah.
That's right.
That's a narrow way of looking at what reversal is.
Yeah.
I see them as doorways to light.
The reversals.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. I agree.
I'm sorry, could you say that again, what you said?
I see them as a doorway to light, more light coming through, but not very easy.
It's not easy. Yeah.
The point
Can't always be easy, can it? Alright, why are we here?
And the point of these reversals is, the way I understand at the moment, is they are kind of like a window onto the Qlipoth. And they're a doorway to light, because you can work your way through this information through these pathways. But just as equally, the Qlipoth, by their nature, are hungry. These are patterns in life that have happened over generations and keep self-promoting to keep people from finding their way. And you'll recognize them. It's like, addiction tendencies, all these psychological phenomena where people keep going around in circles and they seem to be stuck in one place. And you look at someone and you go, so you've been living your life like this for 10 years now, and you're still doing the same things, and you keep wondering why the world is so nasty to you when you're the one who seems to be doing these things which are quite toxic.
So it's like the unconscious pattern that you have not acknowledged, or you don't realise you've got it.
For example.
Yes, for example.
Yeah. So these reversals for me are kind of a way of touching on Qlipoth. But as you say, there's always a positivity. There's always a way of getting out of it. But sometimes it can be very difficult and very hard to do so. So let's have a look, shall we? Okay. So I decided to run in reverse order from the 10 to the 1. I don't know why, I just felt right. It's like sort of moving our way up the tree. So let's start with number 10s. Now, the 10th Qlipoth is Nehemoth. Again, I'll probably pronounce this horrifically, but you can see them written down, so we'll work with that. And this corresponds with Qlipoth, which is like, it's number 10. It's the kind of material realm. And the demons in this place are called the Whisperers. And they're responsible for frightening sounds in strange places. They excite the mind and cause strange desires. Now, one thing that occurred to me as I was doing the research for this talk was that there are 7 deadly sins. And these deadly sins are supposed to be things that lead people astray. I thought, well, this sounds very familiar. This sounds like these kind of Qlipoth patterns that are kind of drawing people into strange places and locking them away, or prisoning them, or whatever it is. So I thought, okay, let's run with that as an idea and see what happens. And as I ran through these different ones, I started to make a few connections. Say, well, I think that deadly sin actually seems to associate with this Qlipoth. One of the consequences of this was finding out that there are only 7 deadly sins, and there are 10 Qlipoth. So there are 3 sins out there, maybe, that have been missed.
There were historically 8 deadly sins.
What was the 8th one that was removed?
Acideia, which is to become bored with spiritual practice.
Oh, shocking.
That's interesting.
Gosh, you might
Maybe you
just
can help
trash
me,
home
we
the
can
one
slot
more.
that in, because that's one interesting one. How do you pronounce that one?
Pronounce. or
Sorry, spell it. Would be more helpful.
I'll get back to you.
Okay, something about being bored with spiritual practice.
Yeah.
I would like to add to that, that it's deadly sin, that maybe it is a sin to go through that, but whenever we go through times of change, like from the Pisces age into the Aquarian age, then we should become bored with practice and find out new ways of bringing new stuff.
Yeah. I think a lot of the meanings of these deadly sins obviously have changed over time. I think some of my interpretations as well are kind of stretching them a little bit. But I think when we discuss them through, hopefully we'll be able to find something there which does seem to tally up. Or it's, I'm trying too hard to make something fit, in which case we'll just throw it away. We'll see. So this number 10 one, if we flip it around and look at the negativity on there, what would people generally say would be the reversal for that card? So we go through the differences. So we start maybe with the discs. What do you think? What the reversal of a 10 of discs be? And if you're not familiar with this kind of use of the cards, that's fine as well. Maybe we can throw in some suggestions from outside.
I suppose it would be sort of a lack of being grounded, actually, because the pentacles are all to do with, I think, it's a suit, not just sort of mundane matters, but to do with stability as well. It's to be grounded here, doesn't matter what we do, we've got to be grounded here. And I think that it is to do with lack of grounding, because you've gone all the way up from the 1 to the 10, and so when it's reversed, it's
Bankrupt.
not anchored.
Bankruptcy, lost all your cash, gone.
Okay.
Out on the street, perhaps.
Yeah.
Well, actually, if I were to link the lack of grounding with what this demon does, it's almost like, because the Ten of Pentacles is like what's manifested, and then this is like what's imaginary, the fears that we kind of manifest to our own senses in a way. Rather than what's physically around us. I would say that's the reversal of the Ten of this. If I were to relate it to this spirit.
So how do you mean, like being overwhelmed by fears of X, Y, and Z? Or?
Well, look, if the Ten of this is like the physical reality,
Yes.
right? Then this is like what we imagine. The imagined stuff is not really not real, but we kind of
Okay. Okay, so like you can hear the demon talking to you and driving you mad.
Yeah. I think that leads to not being grounded.
Yeah.
So.
When I was in sort of free flow word association, I was saying things like pleasurable distractions, misdirections, and addictions. So little things that keep popping up and keep sort of drawing your attention. Look over there, look over there, look, and you go, what?
Do you mean that's linked with 10?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Maybe they're all, maybe as just an image, the 10 reversed, if you had built a lot of money up with the idea of getting into power, like a politician or something, maybe those demons would be acting as a good thing, it would drive you mad once you got to that power place and you couldn't actually do the job.
Yeah, because it's then a lack of responsibility, isn't it? Because you need so much, you need to be so grounded and so focused if you've got a lot of money. Because money is a huge responsibility.
It is, yeah. But it doesn't mean to say you can buy your way in power, like for example, Donald Trump or something. I'm not
Well, now that you mentioned the association with the number 10, it makes me think of maybe an excess of grounding, so to speak, or rather an excess of earthiness as a distraction.
yeah, that's the kind of vibe I'm getting.
Yeah.
The sin that the deadly sin that I was sort of at the moment have got associated with this is avarice. This idea of things, little things that are cropping up that are kind of drawing your attention, and they possess you as much as you reach for them. But as I say, the deadly sins thing is kind of just playing around that as an idea, so if anyone else has alternatives, feel free.
Sorry, what did you say about maybe the floating words around? You had pleasurable
Distractions, misdirections, and addictions.
Thank you.
I was reinforcing ego and absorption in narrative. So when the story comes along and swallows you up, so you're not really writing the tale of your own life anymore, but you're basically being pulled around. It's like the consumer market, sort of advertising, big consumerism. It's like you're not an entity in yourself anymore. You're just another sort of cog in the machine, whirring around doing your consumering.
That's so interesting because I used to work here in the city. And when I was walking along, I've been in the city for ages, and I thought I don't think I could stand working here anymore because for exactly that.
And then the demon known as Legion or something, this idea of kind of the many. Yeah. Do you know much about Legion? Biblical?
Legion?
Very famous biblical.
Oh no. If you're talking about the legions that certain spirits have or but not.
There's something about that name, Legions, that kind of the many. It's almost like broken identity. It's like it's just scattered around thousands and thousands. Okay.